Hollywood has become a hunting grounds for predators. It was built by predators and for predators. When it comes to being in the entertainment industry, for decades it has been known that there are certain entities in the industry that will exploit you, ask you to perform disgusting acts. In return, you get some sort of career-boosting opportunities. There are a lot of vipers in Hollywood. Even A-list celebrities stand no chance against this creeps in Hollywood.
I was sexually assaulted by a successful Hollywood agent, effectively telling me while he held my genitals in his hand was that he held the power.
The rabbit hole goes deeper than you think. Now, most people know Hollywood as the entertainment capital of the world and everything that anybody can dream of. Wealth in general. But Hollywood we know today wasn't always what we see now. See, back in 1883, a man called Harvey Wilcox bought 150 acres of land near Los Angeles. He wasn't really interested in making movies. He was a religious man who wanted to create a sanctuary for Christians. But over time, the area developed. As people were moving in, Hollywood grew in size and population, and in 1887, Harvey officially registered the town as Hollywood. Hollywood eventually became a real city, complete with electricity, telephone service, and gas lines. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, movie pioneers were trying to push the industry forward, but bad weather and other challenges led them to Southern California, where they found Hollywood as a perfect place to continue their movie making. It had space, good weather, and it was far from Edison, the man who ruled the early film industry, trying to monopolize it by suing anyone who dared make movies without bowing to him, forcing many filmmakers to move to Hollywood, which is close enough to the Mexican border. That way, filmmakers could escape lawsuits if necessary, and by 1910, the film industry had arrived in Hollywood, California in a big way, attracting a skilled workforce. Since then, the film industry started booming. Many workers were willing to do anything to be part of it. And by the 1920s, major studios like MGM, Warner Brothers, Universal, and Paramount were competing fiercely for box office money, leading them to cast recurring actors and actresses to create movie stars that audiences would come back for, regardless of the film's content. And this is where things starts to get really disturbing, like very disturbing. Shirley Temple was one of Hollywood's first young breakout stars during the late 1900s. She even has a drink named after her, the famous Shirley Temple. But the story behind her fame is even more sinister. Shirley Jane Temple was born in Santa Monica on April 23, 1928, and at just 3 years old, her mother enrolled her in Meglin Dance School in Los Angeles, where she was scouted by Charles Lamont, the casting director for a controversial studio known as Educational Pictures. And in 1932, the studio began a series called Baby Burlesque, where very young children, some as young as 2 or 3, reenacted famous films and current events. It wasn't just Shirley who was exploited. All these children were subjected to inappropriate scenes, and despite featuring about a dozen kids, it was clear as day that Shirley was the breakout star. As I mentioned from the beginning, Hollywood wanted stars, so even if the movie has a terrible story, the audience are likely to watch it because of their obsession with the actress. And at just 3 years old, Shirley landed her first role in a film. By the end of that year, she had already appeared in 10 different movies. And from 1932 to 1949, she starred in over 40 films. Between 1935 and 1938, she was the world's top box office star. When Shirley was 3 years old, she played a role of a baby prostitute named Charmaine.
Leading lady, Shirley Temple frequently played a prostitute or nightclub performer. In Glad Rags to Riches, she was La Belle Diaperina, a dancer at the Lullaby Lobster Palace. Her beau, Elmer, fails to impress when he chomps down hard on an enormous pickle. In War Babies, Pipsqueak Shirley played the diaper-clad harlot Gloria. The toddler soldiers, hanging around Pete's Buttermilk Cafe, compete for her attention by presenting her with enormous lollipops. Shirley's prostitute status is ultimately confirmed when a patron triumphantly picks his teeth with a bobby pin that held up her diapers. Shirley again played a call girl in Politics in Washington. Hired by the nipple and anti-castor oil lobby, she sets out to corrupt a new bumpkin senator. When Senator Clodbuster succumbs to her wily charms, Polly confirms her sex for hire status by stating,
Ah, I'm expensive.
In another one of her films called Bright Eyes, there's a very particular scene in the film where she was just a toddler singing the song in a very short baby doll dress, being carried, held and touched by a dozen grown creepy men. Shirley's appearances in these films likely fulfilled many men's disgusting fantasies, but behind the scenes, it was so much worse. In her 1988 autobiography, Child Star, Shirley noted the sexual exploitation she endured during her prime years. She described baby burlesque as a cynical exploitation of our childish innocence.
Beginning, there were 30 little children all together, 30 of us between the ages of 3 and 5. And this producer, in quotes, separated the children from our mothers, so the mothers didn't know what went on. So it was pretty rugged, a pretty tough time. Being a starlet was difficult.
Shirley revealed that production companies were ruthless, and she was forced to work even while injured. She mentioned how in 1940, at just the age of 12, she had a meeting with a producer by the name of Arthur Freed, and he exposed himself to her. Shirley claimed she laughed out of confusion and nervousness, and once she did that, he threw her outside of the room.
Fox. I went to MGM for one picture, thank goodness only one. And when I got there with my mother, we were separated. She went into the office of Louis B. Mayer, and I went into the office of Arthur Freed. And he was going to talk to me about a movie he wanted to put me in. I'm 12 years old, you know. And I thought he was a producer, but instead he was an exhibitor. And I'd never seen anyone naked before, except myself. So I had no clue about what was happening. And so it struck me so funny, I laughed at him. And I laughed uproariously. I had tears, you know, and he got infuriated. And he said, out, 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 go.
Did you tell your mother?
Well, I was very quiet. I went down and met her in the lobby of the administration building. She came out very quietly from Louis B. Mayer's office, and we walked hand in hand silently to the car, which was unusual. We got in the car driving home. I said, Mom, you won't believe what happened to me. And I told her what happened, and she got kind of quiet. And she said, well, you don't know what happened to me. And Louis B. Mayer wasn't as bad as Freed was to me.
Have you tried it?
He came on to my mother. And so we both decided that we didn't like MGM much. It was, you know, it was better at Fox.
And at just the age of 17, Shirley stated that she was sexually assaulted by a producer. That producer was David Shalnick. Fast forward to today, and it's still a pervasive issue in Hollywood. On 5th October 2017, the New York Times published a story detailing decades of allegations of sexual harassment against Harvey Weinstein. Reports from the New York Times revealed that over 80 women accused Weinstein of various forms of sexual misconduct, including rape and harassment, spanning 3 decades. These allegations included coercive tactics, where Weinstein would invite young actresses to private meetings under the guise of discussing their careers, only to demand sexual favors in return for professional advancement. Actresses Rose McGowan and Ashley Judd are among the women who come forward to talk about their experiences with Harvey. A young Ashley Judd said she was invited to a Beverly Hills hotel for what she thought was a business breakfast meeting. Instead, he had her sent up to his room, where he appeared in a bathrobe and asked if he could give her a massage or she could watch him shower. And in 2014, Mr. Weinstein again invited another actress, Emily Nestor, who had worked just one day as a temporary employee, to the same hotel and made her an offer. If she accepted his sexual advances, he would boost her career. The following year, once again at the same hotel, a female assistant said Mr. Weinstein badgered her into giving him a massage while he was naked, leaving her crying and very distraught. This is just some of many allegations that has come out. Asia Argento, an Italian film actress and director, said that Weinstein forcibly performed oral sex on her, and she never told or reported it to anyone because she feared that Harvey will crush her, because she knew he had crushed a lot of people before. The kind of power these Hollywood elites have is terrifying, considering victims are not risking their livelihood and safety to speak about the sexual assault by these powerful figures. But Harvey Weinstein isn't the only one. James Toback, a Hollywood screenwriter, director, and producer who has also been accused of SA-ing over 300 women. Woody Allen, a Hollywood filmmaker who has been accused by his adoptive daughter Dylan Farrow of molesting her when she was only 7 years old. Bryan Singer, the director of the X-Men, was also accused of sexual misconduct with a 17-year-old boy back in 2003, and Sean Diddy Combs, who has been accused of SA and misconducts against over 120 victims. But, according to recent allegations, it's pretty obvious that the numbers are higher than that.